What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, I'm going to give my review of Preacher, Season 2, Episode 3, titled Damsels. Alright, so Season 2, Episode 3, Damsels. Now, let me start by saying that I really liked the episode. It was my least favorite of the first 3 of this season, but I still really enjoyed it. I'm starting to find a problem with Preacher that seems to be persistent. I'm not saying every episode, but they're doing it time and time again. I thought maybe that trend was going to stop with Season 2. But apparently it's going to keep on going. And it's a problem with tone. Now, the overall tone of the show, I get what they're going for. I get what they're trying to do. And they're succeeding in most aspects of it. They're going over the top. They're basically saying we got to go big or go home, right? In everything. Their ideas, their action, their characters are only slightly over the top, where they're grounded enough where they all feel like they could be real people. And that's not where the problem lies. Where it lies is in the tone of certain things and certain scenes should be handled with a darker tone, where it's not really the time or place to go light or funny with it. The show does not do it often. But they did it big time this episode. The episode opens with Eugene, Arseface, the dude with the messed up face, his time in hell. And we know from the Saint of Killers stuff from last season that basically what hell is you're reliving either your worst moments or the moment that led you to hell, something along those lines. Not really explained in detail, but that's what we all can make of it, right? So for the cowboy, it was that whole thing with his wife and daughter and then massacring all those people, whatever. With Eugene, it's the murder-suicide, or she's not dead, so it's not a murder-suicide, but the shooting that went on, right? Okay, now Eugene is not a major character, but he's a big character. He'll become more important as the show goes on. So, and I get he's a comic relief character, very much like Cassidy, okay? But just because someone is a funny character by nature doesn't mean everything about them has got to be funny. So the way they handled that opening scene with us showing us what happened with Eugene, how he got scarred, and the girl who's in a coma, was handled wrong. It should have been handled in a darker tone, way more serious than have been about this bumbling goof, Eugene. I get it, he's bumbling, he's a goof. Could they still have made him bumbling and all that in it? Yes. Just the way it was handled to me was very, very silly, when it shouldn't have been as silly as it was. Maybe that's a nitpick. Took me out of the episode and made me go, I don't like the way they're handling that. In the comic, I'm not saying they got to do things the same way as the books. Okay, I'm all for changes to keep us on our feet, keep us guessing, and just to keep the story fresh. I'm all for it, okay? But they should have kept the tone of the comic book scene, which was a dark, more serious tone, in my opinion. All right. But I like that they showed us that Eugene's time in hell, and it got really weird later on when we see Hitler and we see that he's in like a cell, and this is like a dream state. He can come out of it. See, with the cowboy, they make us feel like that's it. He's just reliving that always, 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 always. But with Eugene, we see there's more to it. Maybe the cowboy's story was different because of who he was, and if you want to understand a little bit more about the cowboy, the Saint of Killers, I have 2 videos up on the channel now explaining him, his backstory, and his powers, weapons, etc. So definitely check those out after this video if you're interested in that. But with him, we only see him reliving that. So with Eugene, it seems to be adding a little more depth and some more questions to what's really going on. I do believe that we're going to see a lot of hell this season with Eugene, and that excites me because hell and heaven and earth, of course, all play a huge role in the books, and I like to see, or at least to think that we're gonna see a lot of that in the show as well, because they really shouldn't skimp on it. It's some of the best material from the comic takes place in these other realms, so other than Earth. So it's good stuff. All right. So that's all I got to say about the Arseface stuff. I like it. I just don't like the way it was handled. That's it. All right, let's move on. So now we have New Orleans. And what better place to go for Jazz than New Orleans? And the group learns that God is a jazz lover. So the smart thing to do is go to where the jazz music is. And Jesse basically spends the entire episode going bar to bar and looking for God. Now, I'm not going to say something else I disliked. I just don't understand the choice of having Jesse walk into bars, random bars, and just say, I'm looking for God. Now, he's not using the word of God because he doesn't want to signal. The word of God is what they call Jesse's power, by the way. So he doesn't want to signal the Saint of Killers because that's kind of like the beacon, right? It's the homing device. Whenever he uses Genesis, Saint of Killers gets a whiff of it and he knows the direction he's got to go. He may not know the exact location, but he knows the direction he's got to go, right? And the more he uses it, the more the Saint of Killers can kind of narrow down the location. And that's how the cowboy keeps on finding Jesse, because Jesse keeps using the word of God. So he's trying to stay away from using it this episode. That eventually fails. We know that, and I'm sure that'll come back to bite him in the ass. But I'll get to that in a second. So I found it odd that he's just going in saying, I'm looking for God. I just thought that was strange. And it took me out of the episode slightly, but I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt on that, just because it's Jesse's state of mind, and he's like tired of looking, he's tired of playing these games, he wants answers already. See, what I think they're doing wrong also with this season is the pacing. We're just going from location to location and not showing any of the time on the road, and I think they should be spacing the locations out with giving us a little bit more road trip. Not just because that's what I want to see, and what I think many of you want to see, the road trip, but also because it gives us more of a sense on the time that's passing, I don't really know the distance between Texas and New Orleans, but, I doubt it's, a couple of hours trip. It's probably a day or more at least, I would imagine. Probably more than a day, because Texas is really big, so... so that journey from Texas to New Orleans, we should have seen that, I thought. So I feel like maybe they're trying to move things along a little too quickly, which is funny because I thought season 1 moved things along way too slow. But maybe they're just trying to find the middle ground. See, the episodes 1 and 2 I thought were paced really well. We got to see some road time, we got to see some of the journey, but then... I don't know. Maybe I'm just nitpicking. Let me move on. All right. So I like Jesse's, all his stuff. You see more of his badassery. We get more questions about his past. And I'm sure this season we're going to learn some. And believe me, if you think you got Jesse figured out, if you're not someone who read the books and you were watching this show and you're already like, Jesse's predictable, I know who he is, I know his story already, you ain't seen nothing yet. Jesse's story is incredible, and there's a lot of twists and turns, so I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm sure we're going to learn some more about who raised Jesse after his father died and his life there, because I think that's going to be relevant, and they've already been hinting, little hints sprinkled out. We'll probably do a video at the end of the season about all the hints that were leading to Jesse's past, but we'll see, because I don't want to spoil anything, so we have to see what they cover on the show this year before I can do a video like that. So yeah, Jesse's stuff is really good, and I like how they're handling it, and I like how we're starting to see more of Jesse's darker, serious side that Tulip talks about, how Jesse has many sides to him, and we have only begin to scratch the surface on who Jessie is. I love it. And we get some more questions into Tulip and who she is and what's going on with her. And, she's basically scared and we see the fear. So imagine Tulip is a badass character who doesn't really exhibit fear the way normal people do, right? So for her to be as scared as she is, two things. She must have done something really bad. She says she just left, but she's obviously screwed somebody over in a big way too before leaving, right? So not only is what did she do and how bad was it, but who are these people? Who is this? I believe his name is Victor, that she's so scared, so afraid of. Now, I don't believe this was major stuff in the comics, but I could be wrong. It's weird because I watch so much TV and then I try and read up as much as I can on certain things and certain shows. Sometimes I don't know, I block out certain parts of things. Like, I even forget certain things about the Walking Dead books, and I've read those more than once. So, I didn't even read Preacher that long ago, but certain storylines are just, either they didn't touch on them big, or they just didn't make a big impact on me because I'm forgetting them. So, I don't really remember if they handled, like, if Tulip's story is the same as it is here on the show. I know she's got like a mysterious past and stuff, and it's all connected to Jessie, but I don't recall this thing about Victor and everything. So, but this is obviously going to be one of the antagonists of the show going forward. At least I think this will be a season 2 villain. Is this Victor fellow? I don't think just how like Quinn Cannon was a season 1 villain, like that's it, a season 1 big bad. I believe this guy will be a season 2 big bad. The thing is with Preachers, we get a lot of villains that exist at the same time. It's not like The Walking Dead where we kind of move from one villain to the next villain. There's times in Preacher where it's like multiple villains we're dealing with all at one time. And I think that's going to be, a big thing on this show as well. Because the Saint of Killers, he's an antagonist for a big portion, and then the guy in the white suit with the scar that they see at the end, I'm gonna do a whole video about him. That's I believe I always pronounce it as Air Star, but it's spelled really Her Star, so I'm gonna still say Air Star. You guys correct me if I'm wrong, and then maybe I'll change it up if you make a good point. I'm not going to say anything about him in this video, because like I said, I'll do a separate video all about him. So, but he's a major antagonist in the series as well for a good portion of it. There's many others as well. So, I'm sure we're going to have that same dynamic on the show, and that excites me. So Tulip remains a mystery. I love the way Ruth Negga is portraying her in the show. I feel like her performance in season 1 was a bit all over the place with the accent, and 1 minute she was kind of over the top, the next minute not, but I feel like she's a more focused character. Everyone is this season as far as Jessie, Cassidy, and Tulip. Cassidy's always a pleasure on screen. Love him. The actor who portrays him is absolutely fantastic. It was actually going to be a different actor. I believe his name is Joseph Gilgan. Maybe I'll do another video about it because it escapes my memory, the name of the actor who was supposed to portray him. But it wasn't supposed to be this actor, and I'm so glad that it ended up being him because he's doing a great job. So this episode, it was good. The guys in the white suits, the lady, come on, I knew, not that from the books, I just knew that she was lying and she wasn't who she really was. First off, the wig was really bad. So anyone who needs to wear a wig, you gotta kind of question, unless they need it because they're bald or for whatever reason. But anyone who wears one, as a disguise, you obviously need to question. And I feel like it was kind of obvious to me that she was in disguise. I called it right away that she was with the guys in the white suits, and that's not from anything in the comics, even though from how it leaves off with them in the end, I know exactly who they are, and they're connected to her Air Star, and we'll see more of that going forward. So I liked it. It was a good episode. Wasn't as good as the first two. Sorry for rambling so much in this video. I was trying to do it shorter, but You know how that goes with me. But stay on the lookout for more Preacher stuff. Definitely comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this episode. You liked it, you didn't like it. What you think about my video, my review. You want to talk about anything Preacher related, season 1, season 2, or the books. But let's stay away from the books in these videos as much as we can, because I don't want to spoil anything in the comments for anyone who hasn't read them. Because who knows what they're going to change or keep the same from the show. Yep, that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I feel like this video was a little bit rambly. You'll let me know in the comments, I'm sure. Thanks again for watching. Always appreciate it. You guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time.